Joining us now is attorney and legal analyst Misty Marris. Misty, good to see you. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
I want to talk about President Trump now calling the 3 Tesla vandals facing federal charges sick terrorist thugs. He is pitching to send them to a supermax prison in El Salvador. Can U.S. citizens serve their criminal sentences overseas? Has this ever happened?
That has certainly not happened, and not for the types of crimes that we're talking about here. Now, saying the words domestic terrorism, that's a bit different than how the legalities play out with these types of federal charges. Now, again, these acts of what would be state level charges for vandalism are crossing a line well beyond protest. That's for certain. But what makes them federal crimes? And they're being charged as federal crimes. We now know Pam Bondi has made that announcement, but that will go through the federal court process. Certainly, this could fall under the umbrella because the definition of domestic terrorism relates to trying to influence the government, trying to intimidate a civilian population. It's all about the intent of the perpetrator and whether or not some of the violations like the Molotov cocktails and having weapons falls under the federal code. All of that is true, but it would still be in the United States federal courts and would be served in prisons, federal prisons in the United States.
Okay, so no
like
chance.
We just select
yeah,
it, right.
So no chance in your mind that American citizens are going to be shipped off to a supermax prison in El Salvador after setting a Tesla on fire?
I think we're going to see them go to federal prison after if they in fact are convicted at trial.
Is domestic terrorism a federal charge?
So it's not a standalone federal law, but the states have this on the books that terrorism charges can be brought for what we just spoke about before, trying to intimidate or coerce a population, trying to impact the government. But these types of cases where you're talking about intent that falls under that purview has to be linked to another underlying federal crime. So you're talking about having weapons, crossing state lines, and that's how they become federal. And the idea of domestic terrorism comes into these cases when we talk about penalty. It's really severe, minimum 5 years to 20 years per incident. And so you're talking about really, really serious charges here when the federal government becomes involved.
Okay, I do want to move with the time we have to talk about Bryan Kohberger, the man accused, of course, in the Idaho murders. There is a lot of interest in a new selfie taken by Kohberger in his bathroom just hours after the 4 college students were stabbed to death in that home. Why is the prosecution introducing this, and what does it have to do with the phrase we've been hearing a lot of, bushy eyebrows?
Bushy eyebrows, yes. This picture is critical for a couple of reasons, but primarily prosecutors need to put Bryan Kohberger in that home. There is one person, one of the surviving roommates, Dylan Mortensen, who saw the masked intruder that night. She described that individual to law enforcement as someone with, quote, bushy eyebrows. And so what the prosecutors want to do is take this picture hours after the murders happened, have the jury make a determination about whether or not the Kohberger, this photograph, in fact, is someone who could be described as having bushy eyebrows. So it's all about making that connection. Another thing we're going to hear about, when police actually went to Bryan Kohberger's home, they saw there was no shower curtain. And you see here, no shower curtain. Prosecutors are going to try and make that link to say that he took it down because this was his cleanup. So there's a lot of different reasons why this picture is important for prosecutors to get into.
So much in one selfie. It's fascinating. Tell me more about his click history, showing he purchased a knife on Amazon similar to the one that was found next to one of the victims. Is this damning evidence in your eyes?
So he purchased a knife and a knife sheath. The knife sheath that is the same as what was purchased on Amazon was found at the scene. It's where they found a DNA, which prosecutors say is a statistical match to Kohberger. Now they have his Amazon consumer click history. That was one of the warrants that was executed, and they found it 8 months before he purchased a knife that would be consistent with how the killings took place.
I mean, is this bad for his defense? This is pretty bad for his defense team. Is that right, Misty?
Yes, it's bad for his defense team for sure. It's putting all the pieces together.
All right, Misty Marris, appreciate the context, the analysis as always. Thank you.
Thank you.